Hey everyone, I'm Lucy and I'm joined by Aaryn Flynn to talk a little bit about Nightingale. So we saw a little bit at the Game Awards, we've seen some more at Summer Game Fest. Aaryn, what's the elevator pitch?
So Nightingale is a survival crafting game set in this shared world, gaslamp fantasy universe where we've created it ourselves. And it brings a lot of really interesting mechanics to survival crafting, a genre we really like. And the thing we announced today was this thing we call realm cards. And so realm cards let you as the player control portals. And because we have this complex procedurally generated system to make these realms and make these levels, the realm cards themselves influence and control and help players have agency over what they're going to see on the other side of the portal. So rather than just a big, vast open world, you go through these realms, and these realms are actually controlled and manipulated by what you play in the realm card system to open the portal and go through.
So is there any kind of limit on how many realm cards I can play? Like what is the, if I'm setting up, what is it going to look like?
Yeah, so you're going to get a few limitations there. So you get to play a variety of realm cards. You'll control your biome. You'll control some of the major things you'll see on the other side. You get to control certain aspects of other things like weather and stuff like that. And all that leads to changing the experience and making the experience exactly what you would want on the other side. And then in turn with that, different rewards and different challenges present themselves because of what you've played.
So how flexible is the system then? How often am I going to be using the realm cards to change the world that I'm playing in?
So every time you go through a portal, you're going to get a chance to play realm cards. And the hope is that players will find a lot of things to discover and explore and have interest in a realm. And then, maybe after a few hours, they might decide to move on to the next realm and see what's there for them. There might be quests to help you push forward and things like that. So that's our hope. We want to see players doing that. So lots to uncover in these realms, lots of mysteries, lots to discover. And then you'll have a chance to earn more realm cards and craft more of them. And then you'll go off to the next one and try something else.
So a lot of customization, a lot of different chances to try new things. Let's take a look, talk a little bit about kind of the aesthetic. You mentioned gaslamp. Why did you opt for that as the kind of setting, the aesthetic, the tone?
Yeah, great question. So the gaslamp fantasy idea came to us because originally we'd wanted to do a fantasy game. We knew that much, but some of us had made high fantasy games like Dragon Age and things like that. But we decided that maybe a contemporary fantasy setting was a little better. So something a little more grounded in what you recognize today with certain outfits and certain weapons and gear and things like that. And so in exploring that space, we really liked this notion of the Victorian era and what it offered there. So we got some of the things that you recognize. You're going to get typical shaped, axes and typical shaped knives, stuff like that. At the same time, you get guns and things like that. And we get really cool looking cloaks and outfits and helmets and hats and everything. And we just really like that aesthetic. And so from very early in the project, we embraced that and embraced the architecture you get as well. You get all sorts of things that you recognize as being actual houses or being actual constructions. And we just fell in love with it early in the development.
Was there ever anything else on the table, or was it, you kind of just saw gaslamp fans and you were like, okay, this is it. This is the kind of catch-all.
Yeah, I think it was that actually. I think we didn't take very long before after a couple of concepts and a couple of ideas going back and forth, we just settled on, said this is it. We want this. We can bring this world to life.
So you're gearing, are you still gearing for a 2022 release?
Yeah, that's the plan. We're going to be having our playtests and closed alphas very soon. We wanted to get this trailer out, and now we're going to begin to prepare our builds for that, so stay tuned for more on that front. But yeah, all goes well. We'll be out in the next, before 2022 is over.
And so, can I play solo, or is this just, I can group up with a bunch of friends, kind of like Valheim style, where you can play by yourself, but it really shines when you're with other people?
Yeah, I think that's a great way to say it. You can definitely play solo. It's not a game for particularly large groups, so it's not an MMORPG. It's a game for small groups, friends, high trust relationships where you'll know people and you bring them in, invite them to your realm and they can come explore your realm. You can go to their realm, etc. And so that's really the sweet spot for us, is solo to small group play.
So how many are you thinking about in terms of small group, like 4?
We haven't pinned it down yet, but it should be bigger than 4, a little bigger than 4.
I guess in terms of the original concept, and we're going to do a bigger interview where we kind of delve into this as well, but it's like, where did the the seed of Nightingale kind of come from?
So, the seed came from a few conversations years and years ago. Our art director, Neil Thompson, and I had both read a book called Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clarke. She's an English author. And just fell in love with it. And it was set in the Napoleonic Wars, and it was a story about the rekindling of magic that came from the Fae and two wizards who had each independently found magic again, and had each found different paths and followed different paths to harness it and use it. And we just loved that story. We just loved that concept and idea, and it kind of rolled around in the back of Neil's and my mind for quite a while. And when we started Inflexion, Neil came along from day one, and we started to bat the idea around there as we thought about this game and thought, what if we had a setting like that? And so we take a lot of inspiration from Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell.
Amazing. Well, Aaryn, is there anything else you want to quickly say about Nightingale?
No, this has been great. Thank you so much. I hope people enjoy and get to see a lot more about what Realm cards can do, because they're pretty flexible and it's pretty awesome to watch players play the game. You can also play Realm cards with your friends, so you could play a card and I could play a card, and then we'll get to team up like that and do things like that. So it forms some social gameplay as well, which I really like.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And for more on Nightingale, make sure to stay tuned to GameSpot.